Hello and welcome to the Fit and Free podcast. This is a podcast for women who want it all, to feel strong and confident in their bodies, as well as enjoying a sneaky mug on a Friday night. I'm an exercise physiologist and sports nutritionist, here to teach you how to achieve your body goals without food and your body controlling your life. So let's jump in. If you are someone who wants to be fit, toned, lean, and strong in 2025, this podcast episode is absolutely for you, because today we are breaking down the 3 biggest mistakes that people are making in the gym that is literally holding them back from achieving not only their body composition goals, but also their strength and their fitness goals. So if this sounds like something to you, let's buckle in, let's get into it, because I'm super excited to speak all things gym today. Hello, you guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Fit and Free podcast. I'm sitting down, I'm recording this episode. To be honest, I'm feeling a little bit tired. I'm a little bit exhausted today, but that's okay. We're flexing discipline. We are here. We are recording this episode for you. So I'm super excited to dive into it. And plus, it's one of my favorite things to talk about, even though I speak a lot about mindset. I speak a lot about nutrition. Exercise was my one first true love. That's where I started my study. That's where I did my degree in exercise physiology. So I actually love it. I love talking about the gym. So I have been reflecting in on my own training journey, and I have been just observing how my clients are going about the gym. And after doing some deep diving reflection, I have really figured out there is 3 big mistakes that women continually make that's actually holding them back. For a good while, between the ages when I was fresh 18 to about 24, when I was going through my group fitness era and challenge era and diets, when I was just so obsessed with losing weight, I would say I wasn't really making much progress in the gym whatsoever. I wasn't increasing my strength. Maybe I was increasing my fitness because I'll just go balls to the wall in HIIT classes and things like that. But I never was making actual true progress that I could actually see. It wasn't until I made these adjustments and stopped making these mistakes was really when I actually started training with intention, was when I started to see results in the gym. When I say results, I'm 5xing how much I was lifting and being able to go from 0 pull-ups to doing 10 pull-ups and being really weak and frail, essentially, to really improving my strength, improving my endurance, improving my fitness. And I really put it down to stopping these 3 things that I'm going to be speaking about today. So let's jump in. Let's dive into it. So one of the biggest mistakes that I see women making in the gym is literally just not training at the right intensity. And I get it. I made this mistake for a really long time as well, because we are bombarded with messages on social media that we have to train close to failure. And then we have the messages of no pain, no gain, right? And then we have to be pushing extremely hard. So then we get into this idea that, we have to be training really hard. We have to train close to failure. And what that means is just lifting heavier and heavier. So then we assume that this means every single session, every week, no matter what, is we just have to lift heavy. But here is the truth, right? Close to failure isn't about lifting the heaviest weight possible. Absolutely not. It's about keeping tension on the target muscles, right? It's about I'm going to repeat that. It's about keeping tension on the target muscles without losing form, control, or intention. Without losing form, control, or intention. And I'm just saying that again because I rewind back 3 years, and it was I had a lot of ego in the gym, and I would say things to myself oh, I should be lifting more than this. Why am I stuck here? All these people. And there's a bit of comparison going on as well. It's I see these fit people on Instagram and oh my God, they're lifting that much. I should be lifting that much. So then I would have, a lot of I should be, instead of actually being able to anchor into actually how much weight my body can actually handle with good form, with good intent, with good bracing to be able to move that weight properly and keep the tension in the right muscles. Because at the end of the day, if we're lifting too heavy or even too light, right? Then what happens is then we lose our form and we can't keep the tension on our muscles. We have slight movements within our body. Like, let's use a lunge, for example. Like, if the weight is too heavy, you're going to take the tension out of your glutes, out of your hamstrings, out of your quads, because like your hips could drop or your weight can shift and your core can be like slightly off. So it's going to put you in a compromised position as you're dropping down into that lunge. When if you just used a little bit less weight and you actually focused on pushing your weight through your heels, dropping down really solid through your glutes, and actually then pushing back up and being really intentional about that and feeling those right muscles through the movement, whilst you can maintain your brace and you can maintain your position, you're going to be putting more tension on the right muscles. So therefore, they're going to be working harder than if you were compromising, and you're going to be working harder. So therefore, you're going to get better muscle growth, which then turns into like better strength gains. And it also turns into better body composition changes as well. Because like if we are constantly, like if we're not training with intent and good form and being able to hold it through the range of motion, and then we get into these compromised positions, what happens is we stop progressing, because the muscles are not actually getting stronger because we're not actually using them properly. And then therefore it can also then lead to injuries. For a really long time, I struggled with ongoing back pain. I still struggle with it a little bit today, but nowhere near as much as what it was in the past. It would flare up all the freaking time. And that's because like I was just not moving the weight properly under load back in the early days when I had like a lot of that comparison piece. So it's really, really important. Not only is it good for, your body composition and your actual progress, it's also really good for your motivation. And the reason why I say that is because, if you're not moving forward in the gym and you don't see yourself getting stronger and you don't see yourself getting like improving, then it's hard to be like, why should I keep doing this? There's no like dopamine hit of progression and progress. So then you're just like, well, I'm putting in this effort, I'm not getting anywhere. What's the point? Yeah, of course. What's the point of doing it if you're not getting anywhere? And this is why this is important, because if you're actually training with intention, you're feeling your muscles, you're feeling, strong through your movements, and then you're progressing every single week, you're going to feel good from that. It's going to be like, yeah, I'm doing that, which is really powerful and really like important, I believe, into being able to remain consistent. Because if I was the type of person who, over the last 3 years have been training consistently, and if I didn't see myself progress in certain areas, if I didn't see myself getting stronger, like for an example, if I was doing push-ups and I wasn't able to do, 10 push-ups in a space of 3 years, and I'd be like, whoa, like I wouldn't be able to remain consistent because I'd be like, stuff this. So I just want to break down kind of if this is potentially happening to you. So signs that you are not training with the right weight is, number one, you're not feeling the target muscles burn or contract through the movement. Well, yes, you're not going to feel every single muscle in every single exercise. So like for a pull-up, for example, you're not necessarily going to really feel your lats. But what we then have to look at is like, does it look right? Is the form good? Like, are you pulling up with your back? Are you keeping your shoulders away from your ears? Are you holding a really solid position through the movement? Then, like, even though we don't feel it, we can see that it looks really good. So then we know. Then for our lunges, for example, or our squats, like when we're dropping down, do we feel underneath our glute and really feel that working? And when we're pushing back up, like, do we feel our legs, or does it feel like, a bit of compromise from other muscles? In our deadlift, for example, can we feel our hamstrings? Can we feel our glutes? Or are we just, feeling it in our back and feeling it like a little bit of discomfort, like through our torso or something like that? Like, guys, when you feel this, you will know. So that's something that I really want you to really start focusing on, is really making sure that you're putting the tension on the correct muscles through the movement, and then being able to hold your form. If you feel like you can't hold your form throughout the entire set, then then it's not the right weight, because you should be able to hold good form from rep 1 to rep 8 or whatever, rep 10. And if you're losing your form, that you've just gone a little bit too heavy, too much. Because when it comes to progressive overload, like the key principle for getting fitter and stronger, right? You need that in order to progress. That only happens when you're being able to maintain the good form throughout the movement and then repeating that good form, right? We need to keep the variables similar in order to be able to progress and grow. And honestly, you guys, like I have seen so much better gains from pulling back my weight or slightly increasing it depending on the exercise and really focusing on good range of motion, good form throughout the entire exercise and not progressing too quickly, not getting into the head frame of like, oh, I have to just keep adding weight and weight and weight. No, what I'm focusing on is like, how can I make this lift better? How can I maintain tension? How can I make good form? And how can I push my muscles? How can I feel them going close to failure? Number 2 signs that this is you as well is you're rushing through the exercise itself, or you're also rushing through the lowering part, the eccentric part of the movement. So what this looks like is like, you know, maybe you do a deadlift, you pick it up and then you kind of just like slopping it down off the floor, right? You have to remember full range of motion is going to be the start of the movement and the end of the movement. We need to control both sides of the movement for a really good solid rep. And a lot of the time, if people are using the wrong weights, then it gets sloppy and it gets messy and it gets like you can't control it throughout the whole time. So if this is you, then red flag, it's just to reassess of like what this weight feels like is, can I hold a full range of motion of this exercise through the up and through the down, or through the, you know, the flex and the lengthening, to be able to control that range and to have a really good solid lift. Then the next one is you're constantly nursing like nagging injuries or tightness. Like nagging injuries, and it's like it comes hand in hand in lifting. You absolutely probably will get some sort of niggles, some sort of tightness, some sort of something, absolutely. But if it's something that has been going like ongoing, keeps getting flared up consistently, like you keep getting back pain like from deadlifts and you keep getting some sort of like knee pain or something that's like, you know, pretty intense, then it's a sign that your training volume, your training intensity, if you're consistent, then it's just something that you need to look at. A lot of the time, like when I used to work in group fitness, I used to be a group fitness instructor back in the day, God, crazy, is like one of the biggest things here is people are just doing exercises that are just too advanced for their level. Like I remember like inside the group fitness, this is one of the reasons why I needed to take a step back from it, because I didn't believe in the programming. But, you know, some people were coming in the programming, there's a weighted plank, for example, but then there is, you know, love the commitment of these ladies, like they would be in their 40s and they were trying to do these weighted planks, but they couldn't hold a normal plank. So therefore, you know, their body wasn't ready for that kind of load. They wasn't ready for that type of exercise. So of course, then that is, you know, putting that person in a compromised position under load, which is not what we want. And this is why it's really important that we're making sure that, you know, we're doing the right type of exercise for our level and to be able to, because essentially, like if we can't maintain the form in a normal plank, we shouldn't put weight on it, right? And that's why it's important to be knowing where you're at and being honest with yourself and not making it wrong, not making that, you know, bad or good. It's just is what it is. And then that just sits to be your beautiful starting point to continue and to progress and to keep getting stronger. Then the last one, the signs that this is you if you're not picking those weights right, is you can't repeat the lift with perfect form week to week. You know, if like you've done that, you program in week 1, you're coming in week 2 and you can't do at least that same weight next week, especially with perfect form. That's when you know you've just gone too heavy too quickly. You've pushed yourself a little bit too much, because essentially you always need to keep room to grow, because we need to progress, whether that's with a weight, whether that's with a rep. And if we've just gone balls to the wall, we've, you know, picked these weights and we can't even hold good form throughout the whole set, then there's no way that we're going to keep progressing. And that's what it's, you know, it's important that we do that. So, you know, you really don't want to be training close to failure every single session. Like you don't need to be training at a 9 out of 10. Absolutely not. Like, you know, you get good results from 6 to a 9 out of 10, periodizing that over the month. But yes, training intensity is something that we really need to be paying attention to, especially as we are getting going from a beginner all the way to intermediate to advanced, you need to set the foundations at the beginning, because otherwise there will be a moment where you stop progressing, and this will be why. So the shift that we need to make in this is we need to drop the ego. Stop thinking that we should be at a certain place in a certain time frame. Where you are right now is perfect for you. So what you have to realize is we have to let go all of the story, all of the shoulds, and actually just start paying attention to how you're actually feeling through your movement. Can you feel the right muscles? Are you holding good form? Can you keep your core brace for the entire movement? Right? Like I see people getting under a barbell squat and they can only hold their brace for 2 reps, and then they keep going, and then they're wondering why they can't progress, right? It's not about how much you lift. It's about how much you can hold your form, keep tension on your muscles throughout the entire set. And it's all about just being intentional with it. And that's what I want you guys to reflect on in the gym and how you're feeling. Like, can I feel these muscles? How hard am I pushing my muscles? How well am I holding my form through this? Because when you start doing that is when you're really going to be able to start making some smart progress with your training. Now, moving on to mistake number 2. And I fell into this trap so much, again, from all of the social media being like, this was more so like when I was in my weight loss era, where everything was about burning calories. I can't eat too much. If I eat something bad, then I have to work it off. I fell into this for a really long time, and I believed that more exercise was better. And this destroyed my results, because the amount of exercise I was doing, I was not recovering from that amount of exercise. So then that was stopping me from progressing. And I see so many women thinking that more is better with movement. But I will always say this, my clients are probably sick of me saying this, but the amount of exercise best for you is the amount that you can actually recover from. Because your exercise routine is supposed to make you feel good. It's supposed to give you energy. It's supposed to make you feel strong and empowered. And if you're constantly feeling fatigued, low motivated, irritable, right, then this is something that we need to look at, because the balance between exercise and recovery is completely off. And I get it, because we've literally been conditioned to do, if I'm not sore, it didn't work. Or if I don't feel so really sweaty and wrecked after every session, I didn't do enough. If I want to see results faster, I need to train more and often do more sets, more steps and everything. But it's literally this mindset that's exactly why so many women are not seeing the changes that they want. Because your body doesn't grow when you're training. Your body grows when you're recovering from the training. Because if you're constantly pushing without adequate rest, fuel, or recovery, you're breaking your body down faster than it can build back up. Think about it like if you've got a wound, you've got a scab, and you just keep picking at it. You don't actually allow it to recover. You just keep picking at it. It doesn't get better, right? Our muscle and our bodies are exactly the same. And I get it, because there is a lot of women out there who just love to exercise. I also used to love, and still do, love to exercise. It was really part of who I was and my identity. And it was just something that I loved to do. And so I absolutely get that. And so therefore, if you're in this situation, it's okay, if you love to exercise, let's continue to exercise, but let's make sure we're doing we're recovering, we're fueling well, and we're doing the right amount of exercise in alignment with our goals. Then maybe we need to come up with something else we love to do. Maybe it's another hobby that we need to start, because at the end of the day, if exercise is our only place of joy and excitement within our life, then we can get into the trap of doing too much. So in that space, I had to learn that as well. That's when I took up reading, I took up scrapbooking, I took up taking photos of food. I implemented more things in my life that I absolutely loved to do, because my exercise was just getting a little bit too much. So you know that you are under recovering if you're feeling and doing some of the following things. You're constantly fatigued, your sleep is poor, you're always sore or always inflamed, you've plateaued with progress despite increasing how much you're doing, And also you feel like you get in this space of like, you feel like you are going backwards, and like no matter how much you exercise or the harder that you work, you just don't feel like you're making progress. And I used to feel all of these things, but I never actually made the link. And when I actually look back of my old exercise routine, it was crazy. Like I would go into the gym and I would think that I would need to do like 10 different exercises. And then on top of that, I would get, 10 minutes on the Stairmaster. I would also do a body balance class as well, like a yoga or a Pilates or something. And I would think that I needed to do all of that type of movement to see the results that I wanted. But I wasn't progressing. I wasn't seeing the results that I wanted, and I never understood why. And it was because I was just focused on doing more instead of being intentional. And as soon as I made the shift of not doing more and being intentional, and when I say intentional, I mean training, like the quality of your training improves and the quality decreases. Because quality is always better than quantity, especially with your exercise routine, right? Because I watch people who are online and they're, Whoop ambassadors, and they like do a lot of exercise, and I pay attention to what they're talking about in their Whoop stats. And a lot of the time their recovery index is really, really low. And I'm like, yeah, because you're doing so much volume and your body can't handle it. And this is something that we just need to normalize, that more is not better, quality is better. Because as soon as I strip back, like my training now, my gym sessions, I'm doing max 6 exercises. That is it. And that takes me like about an hour, maybe a little bit more. And why? Because it is quality training. Like I'm going slow, I'm being intentional, I'm feeling the right muscles. And by the end of my set, I need my break. I need my rest period, because I'm like, holy shit, like I felt my back in that. Like, holy shit, I felt my glutes in that. I felt my shoulders in that. I felt that. And, if I didn't have that break, then my next set is not going to be quality. It will be compromised. I'll probably only be able to do 4 of the reps when I need to do 8, right? And in terms of like my cardio, I'm not doing any cardio right now. I get 10,000 steps every day. Like I'll go for a morning walk. I love that time. It's my sacred time. I love it. Like I intentionally, hitting movement markers throughout my day, just from a fact of if I don't, I feel shit. So I absolutely do that. But in terms of like getting cardio, like doing, cardio, I'm not necessarily doing that, but just for strength training sessions. And literally the results I have seen from stripping it way back and doing less, I've been able to progress 10 times faster, because the quality of my training is so much better, because I'm coming in, I'm well recovered, I'm well rested, I'm well fueled. And because of that, I then can have better training sessions. So of course, I'm going to lift heavier. I'm going to continue to progress. I'm going to keep going again and again and again. And because of that, being more intentional is how I've been able to see way better results. So we need to normalize the shift here. It's not about doing more. It's about doing it better. Better intensity, better execution, better recovery, less volume, more growth. And that's how you're finally going to be looking like someone who actually works out. Then the last thing, we can't have an episode without talking, and it's one thing about mindset. If you know me, you know I love it, because at the end of the day, it's our mindset that is really driving our behaviors with our exercise. So this is the mistake number 3 that I see so many women falling into, and it's the all or nothing thinking, the perfectionism, the fear of failure when it comes to the gym. And this can play out in a few ways. So I want to give you a few examples of how I see this one playing out, right? So number 1, like you're showing up, you're pushing yourself, you want results. But the second something doesn't go to plan, maybe you miss a session, maybe during the session you feel tired and you can't lift as heavy as you did before. Maybe you skip a few exercises at the end, and instead of just being able to move on, you spiral. What's the point if I can't do it properly? I've missed this session. I've ruined everything. What is the point? I'm not lifting as hard as I did last week, so I'm not progressing. I'm not doing well enough. This is something that I used to get into the trap so much on. It's because each week I wasn't able to progress, like because I was under fueling and over exercising. I wasn't recovering, but I didn't know it at the time. Like every single week I would go into the gym, like I wasn't able to progress in the way that I should be. So then I would fall into the all or nothing thinking. I would shame myself being like, oh my God, Laura, like you're doing so shit. Like, why aren't you progressing? This is shit. But because I was falling into that all or nothing pattern, I wasn't actually able to look at the big picture and actually understand why. I would just shame myself and just be like, oh, you just have to do better next time. And actually bringing awareness to why I wasn't progressing and address the root cause of the problem, which was actually doing too much. So, sorry, I digress. So this is why it's really, really important that we look at how we are talking to ourselves, especially when it comes to our training, and the way that we are approaching a training. Is it all or nothing? Because like if we keep falling into these shame spirals and shaming ourselves for not being good enough and then just promise ourselves next week is going to be different, next week is not going to be different because we're not actually addressing why we're stuck in the problem essentially. And what is actually happening is when we're stuck in this all or nothing thinking, it's killing the consistency. It's also killing our ability to figure out what's going wrong with our training. And instead of just fixing one small problem, we catastrophize that, we make it completely wrong, and then we just shame ourselves. We feel like we're not getting progress. So then we're like, well, I don't want to keep going. That erodes our self-trust then that stops us from believing in ourselves, then it's actually going to be possible. So the shift in this, you guys, is that we have to start looking at like every micro little problem that we have in the gym. We need to learn to look at it as just a moment of reflection and a moment of lesson of just being like, how do I need to just put out this one little fire instead of making it this big whole thing, right? So for an example, if we're in the gym and we're not lifting as heavy as we did the week before, instead of falling into an all or nothing pattern, being like, oh my God, I'm failing. Oh my God, I'm shit. Like I'm not progressing. I'm not getting the results that I want. Instead of falling down that spiral, instead we have to get used to of questioning why. Why am I not feeling good in this training session? What's actually going on? And what do I actually need to look at? Is it because I am under recovered? Is it because I haven't eaten enough? Is it because my form's shit and I need to slightly tweak my foot positioning on where I'm sitting at the bench, right? Because if we just like think about that, like if we just went into an all or nothing spiral, it doesn't give us that opportunity to actually see what just needs a little bit of improvement to then be able to keep going. This is why mindset is so important, right? And I completely get it because I used to do that too. I used to spiral. Everything was the end of the world. But now what I can look at is just like every little thing is just like a micro little fire that we have to put out. Instead of making it a massive problem, it's like, okay, cool. What do I just need to take responsibility in this so that I can actually get better results and improve and just fix this one little thing instead of making it this big thing that I'm failing and that I have to start again every single week. So just to give you some signs that this is playing out for you, the all or nothing within the gym is you miss a workout and you're convinced that the rest of the week is ruined. Number 2 is you underperform in a session and you feel like you're going backwards and you're like, oh my God, not seeing the results. Number 3 is you train consistently but then fall off completely after a week or 2, or you feel like you're falling behind if your lifts aren't improving fast enough. Or lastly, you expect to see visible results within a set time frame and lose motivation when you don't. And this is a big one. I want to just anchor into this one for a little bit more because that's something that we can do. If we have a lot of worth and value tied to the end result. So say if you don't feel confident right now within yourself and you're a type of person who has a lot of worth and value tied to the size of your body or how successful you are, like how much you can lift in the gym and how good you are. Like I struggled with that for a really, really long period of time. Like I made everything personal. Everything was about me, right? If I wasn't lifting heavy enough, I was a failure. If I wasn't lean enough, I wasn't good enough. And this is something that I have done a lot of work over the years, and it's like the deepest and best work that I've ever done is learning not to make things personal and mean something about myself. But instead, it's like, okay, cool. We just need to understand that things take time and things probably take longer than you expect. That's something I had to wrap my head around because, you see all these fast results, like, 8 weeks, this person went from this to this and all of these things. But like in reality, that's just like, it's marketing. It's not true. Results take time and we have to be able to learn how to release that and to be able to commit no matter what. This unwavering commitment to the end result. And we just have to be like, yeah, I'm going to do whatever it takes. my journey is going to look different to everyone else's. And I'm going to continue to show up regardless of how slow it's going. Because at the end of the day, like, the only way that you ever won't be successful is if you give up too early. And I see a lot of people do that because of the all or nothing thinking and their expectation of their results needing to be in a certain time frame. Because at the end of the day, it sucks. It sucks not being at your goal. It sucks sitting in the failure. It sucks sitting in the learning process. It's not fun. Let's be real. But in order to be successful, we have to go through that. And we need to normalize that it is hard. And I'm doing that every single day. But the key difference now and being able to hold myself through this is more about not making it mean that I'm failing. Not making mean that I'm a failure and no longer having the worth and value tied to it. So I think it's an important conversation that we need to bring in, because that's essentially the core of the all or nothing thinking. It's always about us. It's always how we feel about ourselves. And that's why it's really, really important that we, look at that internal story if we really want to break free of the all or nothing thinking. And yeah, that just comes down to the shift in that is, really starting to be proud of yourself, really start to see actually that you're not failing when things are not going exactly right. This is just a little hiccup that I need to fix and solve so that I can move forward. Because when we stop making it personal, we get our power back and we can be like, yeah, cool, I'm going to take responsibility of this. I'm like, oh, maybe I need to sleep a little bit more. Maybe I need to drink more water. Maybe I need to eat more carbs. Maybe I need to eat more protein. Instead of falling into the well and spiraling, it's like, okay, cool, this is just the actions that I need to take and I just need to move on. Then we also need to stop, like, the shift in this was we need to stop measuring our success by perfection and getting things right all the freaking time, and start measuring it by how often you're in the gym, how often you're showing up, and being proud of that, being proud of your consistency, regardless of like the week that you had. And I know for a lot of women, like, they feel like if they start celebrating themselves and not being so hard on themselves, then they won't continue to show up. Like, being hard on themselves is the only way that they're going to stay motivated. Then if that is you, then you absolutely need to look at your self-trust and you need to look at why you're doing it in the first place. Because when you can really shift showing up to the gym as a place of empowerment and a place of self-respect, most importantly, is you're now doing it because you're treating your body with care. You're treating your body for strength. You're treating your body for longevity instead of doing it because you hate yourself, doing it to get a certain physique, doing it because you need to look a certain way. Yeah, well, of course, that motivation is going to be really, really low because it's not coming from a place of care and respect. It's coming from a place of hatred. So, of course, it's going to be really hard to stay motivated. So if you can shift that internal story as well behind why you're actually exercising and why you're going to the gym is such a powerful motivator as well, because then it's coming from a place of like, I want to do this. I want to be able to walk up the stairs when I'm 80. I want to be able to lift up my own suitcase and put it above my head when I'm traveling. I want to be able to pick up my kids and play with them as I age and as I get older, right? Because this is really what we're talking about. Because when you can shift that, it's no longer this all or nothing mindset, because you realize why you're doing it from actually like a deeper purpose rather than just, to get it right, to look a certain way, to prove to yourself that you're good enough. Instead, it's coming from that place of, I can now understand that this is something now that I'm doing for the rest of my life. This is something I'm doing for my health. This is something that I'm doing for me. Of course, you're going to be able to become way more consistent in that, because you can see the actual reason to why you're doing it. So if you're stuck in this all or nothing pattern, that's what I want you to reflect on, is like, why are you exercising? Why are you showing up? Are you doing it from a place of like, I have to look a certain way, I'll only be good enough if, or are you doing it from a place of, oh, I want to show up for my kids. I want to be a good role model. I want to be the grandma who is able to take their grandkids out and about. I want to be able to walk up the stairs when I'm 80. I want to be, carrying my groceries and remain my independence and stay in my house for as long as I can. And literally that's what strength training can do for you, which is so powerful. And that's why I love it so much. I always joke around. It's like, I'm going to be that woman who is on the TV deadlifting when they're 80, because this is what it's all about. It's not about, aesthetics. Well, yes, that's cool. It's cool to have abs and it's cool to have nice glutes and shoulders and legs, absolutely. But it's also really cool to feel really fucking good. So I really hope that that can help you potentially just have a reflect in on how you're approaching your gym routine and your exercise at the moment. Let me know, send me a DM what you come up with after you have that reflection moment of why am I training? Why am I going to the gym? And let me know how the entire episode resonates with you. I love hearing from you guys. It's my favorite thing. I love sitting down and recording these every single week. So thank you for being here. That is a wrap on the 3 gym mistakes that you potentially could be making. Even if you're making one, maybe you're making all 3, maybe you're making none, then that's amazing. But I'm so glad that I potentially have pulled something into your awareness that you may not have been aware of, so that you can take responsibility, you can show up differently into the next week and the coming weeks. So thank you for being here. I appreciate you more than you know, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye.